Morning, everyone. It's Thursday, March 9th. Best day of the week, in my opinion. So I'm excited about that. We got a good show today. Some different kind of articles. Not a whole lot of vegan specific news, but some food news and some happiness news. I guess it's news discussion. Um, Plus the weather report, as always. So I'm going to bring Doug in here, like I always do. We'll probably talk about Discord for a few minutes because that's what we've been doing recently. Been trying to pump that, and it's been good. I mean, it's a nice vibe in there, and I'm trying to pop in a couple times throughout the day.
Good morning, Matt.
Doug, how are you doing today?
You know, if I'm being honest, I'm feeling a little bit off.
Oh, sorry, I have my volume down. I didn't hear what you said.
If I'm being honest, I'm feeling a little bit off.
Oh yeah.
I usually get everything set up, get on about 5 minutes before go time, and then use that 5 minutes to do some pull-ups. But I was just on a call that ran right up to the last minute, and haven't gotten my pull-ups in this morning, and my arms are I'm just feeling a little off. That like blood flow gets me in the mood, gets me in the spirit for the show, and there you go.
Yeah,
that's what's up.
Makes sense. Yeah, I'm similarly out of my routine. Had a 1 year house walkthrough where they come look at warranty type thing because it was new construction. So we had to go through and look at all the nail pops and all the most boring hour you could spend in your life. So I just did that, and now jumping into the show. But I prepared ahead of time, so we should be good.
Are you gonna send your house back?
No, we're not gonna send it back. They're just gonna come in here and fix about 100 things, basically.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I guess, or maybe not good that you have to fix them, but
no, we don't have to. Yeah, it's fine. It's just home ownership, not for everybody, not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not. No, it is not.
Yeah, I'm much more. I think my soul is more of a renter's soul. I like to be somewhere, not care about it, let it just get destroyed, make a phone call whenever there's a problem, get it fixed for free, move on to the next place when I'm tired of it, which is every year or so. So yeah, it's an adjustment.
Out of all my friends or all the people I know, especially ones with family, with kids, you definitely moved more than anyone else.
Oh yeah. I think I moved eight times in the past 10 years. Something
crazy.
Close to that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Itchy feet. Guess gotta get up, change your energy.
I guess so.
Yes. So anyway, let's see what's going on today, Doug. Any new news? Holden is up to 4 pull-ups. He's doing a little challenge against you that you're not aware of.
Oh no! No! I didn't know that.
The 4 dead hang legit pull-ups, and he always asks how you're doing, and I tell him.
Oh no! Well, he's got me beat. I think I need to do a little. Yeah, I should try to go as hard as I can and see if I can get 4 in, but I don't think I can. I think he's got me beat right now. So this is a game on now.
Good. Well, I'll let him know that you're in.
Just the motivation I needed. A little battle with your son.
Right. Yeah. Good. All right. So yeah, I don't have anything really new. Nothing too much. I'm gonna go to Asheville this weekend. That'll be nice. So I'll pass by Black Mountain. If you happen to be in the big city, you could come. Well, I'm not exactly gonna be in the big city.
You're gonna be in the woods, right?
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Anything else today, Doug? Any other stuff? Discord? Any updates from that?
The Discord is just so cool. It's so fun.
It is cool. It's a good vibe.
It has continued to grow. There's a great vibe. We got some new channels that are taking root here, and I don't know. It's just it's fun to. It's just so fun to connect with people, and a lot of people are saying they're podcast listeners, and regular podcast listeners that are excited to engage with this community that's building from the show. So I love it. I think it's awesome.
Yes, totally. I was going to remind people to go to the link, nomadeathlete.com/discord. That's our redirect we've set up. But then it occurred to me that maybe that link has changed. No, I think it's still the same one as when you last updated it. It's supposed to be good for 7 days. So
okay.
Anyway,
we'll just keep updating it for a while, and then
So just if you're not in there yet, you really should. It's a fun time. It's a good vibe. And I was thinking, like, there are some of these Discord communities I know of where they're just like a great place to go ask a question if you have a question about the the game or the product or whatever it is you're using Discord for. And I was thinking what a good resource this could be, just because I think our people here are fairly I don't know, wise and reasonable, and they've all not all a lot of them have been at the plant-based diet in some form or another for a long time, or been listening to us for a long time. And it would just be a good place if you were new to this whole thing and you had questions about stuff, or you wanted to know,
Mm-hmm.
go to recipes or meal planning tips or how you deal with whatever. Like, I have a feeling if someone would come in there and ask a question like that, the community would just jump on them with answers and help them.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and they wouldn't have to wait for me or you to get in there and give an answer. And in fact, we wouldn't have the best answer. I think a lot of other people
Mm-hmm.
would have,
Yeah.
perhaps something more appropriate for that person. So anyway, I think it could be a cool resource. So if you were looking for that, just to have like a plant-based friend group with I think a different vibe. I hope a different vibe than like a typical plant-based Facebook group would be. They just Facebook, it's just slow, and Discord. This is the MTV generation. This is hot stuff happening in here. It's just better. So I think you should go in there. So anyway, it's nomadathlete.com/Discord. And you don't have to be a long-time show listener or anything. Just get in there.
Yeah, bring in your friends too. Just get this party started. I'm gonna give a shout out to new power user 3 Amigos NJ. I'm not sure who that is, but they've been posting a ton, and I like it. NJ. I don't know if I said M or
NJ.
not.
Okay.
As in New Jersey, I would imagine.
Okay.
Or maybe initials. I don't know.
Yep.
Could be either way. But I love seeing all their posts. And then Mr. Jeffrey over on YouTube is asking, for some reason I can't see the new channels, and that happened to me too. And I finally figured it out. If you're on the desktop app, then you go to the top left. There's something called Browse Channels, and there you have to check which channels you want, unless to display. So some of them just get hidden by default. So that's good for everybody to know. And these kind of little things I think are going to be important for everybody, or not important, but things that we're gonna have to figure out as we use Discord more.
Yeah. And speaking of Mr. Jeffrey, as I was going to bed last night, I just felt bad about saying stop doing the threads. I was just like, I don't know. He's just trying to use Discord the way you wrote. So people can use Discord however they want. If I decide I don't want threads, I'll disable them somehow as an admin. Don't let me stop you from just trying to explore and figure out how to use Discord, because I've been in it a bunch, but I've never learned how to use it. I just go in the ones, get what I need, whatever. But what I was going to say was, the reason I didn't like them is I'm worried that when so many people go into Discord for the first time, which I think most people here are doing, because it's not something that our generation has used that much. I just think, to me, when I see threads and things, I start to get confused, and I wonder how it's used. Like, it's just, especially the way Discord does it, they put the thread right in the middle of the thing. It was not intuitive to me compared to Slack. So my concern is that people would see that and then be like, is that just to me adds confusion. And maybe once everyone's used to it and we all know how to use the site, then then it wouldn't be confusing. But I was worried that a new person would be confused. But anyway, don't let that stop you. Mr. Jeffrey, use the threads. Anyone else, use the threads if you want. We'll see what ends up being good and what people like and what they don't, and then we can make changes.
Yeah, absolutely. We got almost, I don't know, like 80 people, 75 people in there already, which is just cool because we haven't really publicized. I mean, obviously on the podcast we are talking about it.
Yeah, we just talk about it on the show each day, but you're right. We haven't emailed
about anything or even posted on social. So this is cool. And one final question, before we move on: how do you invite friends? Just send them the No Meat Athlete link, nomeatathlete.com/Discord. And get them in that way.
Yep, exactly. All right. Good stuff there. So I guess we'll jump into our weather report.
Sports betting? What, you don't want to talk about sports betting?
We have this introductory topic I found in the Morning Brew today. And we always, now and then, we talk about certain topics. We talk about the metaverse. We talk about
crypto,
esports,
a little bit.
Esports, crypto every now and then. And DraftKings, gambling, things that don't seem to fit in with the rest of the topics, but for some reason they do. We talk about artificial intelligence sometimes and people living forever and all that. Anyway, this is I like this one. This is from CNBC.com. This is not the official show. It's still introduction content. It's WWE. Is that World Wrestling Entertainment? I mean, I know it's the wrestling company. I don't know what that stands for,
Yeah.
though. They're in talks with state gambling regulators in Colorado and Michigan to legalize betting on their match results. And of course, the catch is the matches they're fixed. Everyone knows this. It's not a secret even. And they're not trying to pretend that it's not. Like, this would be betting on something that is written by people. So the article, goes into some detail about it. And obviously sports betting is legal in a lot of states now. And even Academy Awards wagering. So some of these sports betting sites offer these other kind of prop bets and things about different stuff.
Right.
And Academy Awards is a different category than sports because, well, it's chosen by the public, I guess. I don't know what kind of systems there are to make sure it is like totally fair and there could be no fixing of the results or anything. But it's not scripted. It's not a writer who decides it.
Right.
So this would be like people basically wagering on what the writers want to do. And the writers, I think, would have some sort of, interact. Like as they're writing, they might say, I'm going to write this because this is what no one's going to be gambling on. It would be a total shock, or I'll pick the favorite here. I'll have the favorite win. I don't know. It's just like, it's fascinating to me that there might be betting on that. I don't know.
I don't see how this is any different than betting on the NFL. I mean, that's fixed too. So,
I mean, yeah, I think that is probably a popular response is to say these are the same things.
No, I'm just joking. So this cracks me up. The whole notion of it, idea of it cracks me up because, I mean, couldn't the writers just see like where the money is and, and where the bets are going and then change the results based on that? And isn't like I mean, I know that the storyline, it's been a long time since I've paid any attention or watched any WWE. But I know the storyline's important and the villain has to win sometimes, but like the most popular guy is going to win probably most of the time, right? I mean, like you have to be able to look at the trends of surely somebody's going to do an analysis of wins in WWE storylines and just figure out how easy it is probably to fix it. No?
I have a feeling not.
Okay.
I mean, who knows how this would go, right? Like, obviously, yeah, right now the most popular person I think wins. I don't watch it or anything. I don't know. But like, yeah, I mean, these bettors and sports books that would be running this, I assume they're not dumb, right? Like they're going to move the line so that it's exactly where it should be. And it's really hard to pick the winner. I mean, or be profitable, right? There wouldn't be much if it's true that the favorite or the popular guy's always being the winner or the popular girl always the winner, then that bet's not going to pay out anything, very little.
Right.
And the long shot will. So this happens, with sports as well, of course. Two things here. One, they're like verifying, they're working with Ernst & Young, so they would secure the match results so they won't leak to the public. And then it says WWE creative executives don't plan to inform the wrestlers who will win until hours before the match. So it's not like the writers could really probably look at where the lines are and then, change at the last minute in order to make money. I have no idea. It's possible. The other thing is though, like NFL, as far as I know, I always hear this. I don't know the actual stats on it, but like they act like they don't like fantasy. I think they haven't wanted to. I'm not sure. Actually, I don't know what their stance is on fantasy and things now. I just know the betting is a huge, huge part of that NFL industry. Like that is part of the reason it is so popular is the betting. So, and I don't know what percentage of the revenue or the audience is bettors versus just mainstream audience who's just interested in football. But I know, the bettors are a huge needle mover for the NFL. So if that became the case here, and suddenly it was all about the betting, then they wouldn't necessarily have to make the most popular guy win. It would be more about picking the winner that is most, makes the betting most exciting. They would start to change the product a little bit, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. Let's see. Steven asked, he says, I'm pretty against sports betting, but it's huge over here. How come it's treated so differently in the US? All the US leagues, so the NFL, the NBA, the MLB. They were all very against sports betting for a long time, thinking they would kind of corrupt the game. But they've all kind of come on board because they see it as this huge money maker. So it is kind of corrupting the game in some ways, but I don't know. It's been you couldn't do it 10 years ago. You couldn't do it. Now it's everywhere.
Yeah. I don't know why the difference culturally, like why has European soccer always had betting and it's been fine. Might have the same thing to do with the lower drinking age over there. Just, governments that trust their people a little more to make their own decisions. I don't know. But who knows? Yeah, good question though.
Yep.
All right, so that's WWE, which I don't think we've really ever talked about on here. So you're not a WWE or WWF fan, Doug? You weren't into Hulk Hogan or?
No, I think I went through like a phase maybe in like elementary school for a couple months where I was, but I just never could get into it. I never really could.
Similarly, I had an elementary school phase. I think that phase lasted about one weekend, maybe.
Same here. I was like, I'm gonna get into it. Everybody's talking about it at school, but just never really worked out for me.
I have heard some interesting things. Like you watch some of those documentaries. I don't know where I saw this, but some profile of one of the guys. It was almost like an expose of just how hard it was, and maybe the working conditions weren't great. I don't know what it was, but the people a lot of them were on steroids, and I don't know if that's fair. There were steroids for sure as part of it. And they were taking real abuse from when they get hit by, the foreign objects and the chairs and whatever else. And the fake punching and the fake hitting, there's still often contact, I guess. So they were saying it's really, really physically taxing and not easy work at all. And that they are in some way athletes, although the performers, I don't know, just, I found it very surprising.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure just in the same way that like Cirque du Soleil, those guys are physically incredibly active and, they're athletes in their own way, right? Gymnasts. But it's a performance. It's not a sporting event.
Right. True. Yep.
Drew Design says he stopped paying attention after Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. My 11-year-olds.
I would Aaron's 50K that she did last November 2 Novembers ago was in the hometown of Andre the Giant. That was, I forget the name of the town. It was in North Carolina. Yeah, this an hour away from Charlotte. Yeah, I mean that was the golden age as far as I know. I don't know any other wrestlers really any since then. But
isn't Jake Paul a wrestler now? Do you know who that is? Like the big.
I do know who the Paul brothers are. I think isn't Jake Paul? Didn't he just have a UFC fight?
I think that's. Or maybe Jake Paul is the boxer and Logan Paul is the WWE guy, something like that.
Oh yeah, he's currently signed to WWE. Okay, yep, Logan Paul. But I think Logan Paul was first an MMA or a UFC type fighter.
I think they both fought boxed. Okay. I think they both boxed some YouTubers and stuff. But anyway, we can get off this.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Yeah. So weather report. I'm not so sharp with the weather report today. I didn't, because of this thing. I kind of messed up with my planning. I just didn't. Sometimes I don't remember to go back and learn the stuff before I read it. And nor is my music working, which is kind of a bummer. But
I'll sing it in.
That's okay.
The weather report.
No, it's okay. You don't need to do that. Here we go. Food tech company Climax Foods has announced the launch of Climax Blue, a cultured and aged blue cheese alternative that's going to be the first offering from their zero compromise plant-based cheese line. They say that it is indistinguishable in taste and same price as the dairy counterpart. So it's we're going to have vegan blue cheese soon, and a flavorful blue-green veining, creamy fudgy texture. I'm excited about this. I really kind of started to like blue cheese. I didn't really as a kid, but then as an adult, it grew on me. I liked it. A tangy flavor. Gorgonzola, for example, in pasta sauce, creamy pasta, it's delicious. So I will be very excited to try this. I don't like the name Climax Foods. It just sounds kind of weird to me. It doesn't seem like a food name. I don't know. But I went to their website to figure out what they do. They don't give a whole lot of information except to say that they use machine learning frameworks to find out at the molecular level what makes animal-based foods so craved and loved by mass consumers. And then they use the infinite combinations of plant-based ingredients to, make these alternatives. So I did find I'm more and more starting to think like, just as science gets better, like it seems like I don't know, cheese has always seemed like this thing. Well, you can't make cheese from plants and make it taste the same way. But with this technology, like why not? Like there are so many more plant species, I think, than there are animal species that we actually eat their products of. So like with all those molecules and all the technology, it seems like these like just exact indistinguishable replicas of those foods are probably not far off. Even before you talk about like the cellular agriculture stuff. So who knows? Just a random theory there. But that's that. You a blue cheese eater, Doug? You seem like maybe not. I'm not sure.
Oh, you think not? I mean, obviously not a blue cheese eater anymore, but yeah. I like the funkiness of a good funky
You were into
cheese.
that. Okay, good. Well, then you'll be as excited as I am when it comes out. Yeah. Apparently, it's already happening in restaurants, and later this year will be available in retail. So that'll be fun. Cool. More food tech news. An Israeli startup called Breville, Brevel, has created a ghost protein made from microalgae. This is chlorella they're using that solves this problem that cheese substitutes and some other substitutes as well. They don't have the natural protein content that the animal foods do. In order to create this protein, and I don't think it's just for nutrition. I think it's for the texture and other things. They usually use pea protein or soy protein or whatever. Well, this company has found this ghost protein that basically tastes like nothing and has little effect on the texture, and they're going to be now putting that into the foods. Yesterday we talked about reductionism and stuff. This is, I don't know, like just to add protein to a food to make it more nutritious. I guess people put protein powder into stuff all the time, so it's not that different from that. But man, it just feels like a weird thing. I'm just not that interested in V-Garden is the cheese that will first be using this. So if you get V-Garden cheese, looks like ghost protein.
Does it feel different to have a macronutrient that you're adding in? Does that feel different than like a vitamin, fortified with vitamin D or something?
Yeah, so it does for some reason to me. It feels like there will be more health downsides associated with that. And I don't really know why, because I think that's should be just as suspect when you fortify with vitamins, like potential downsides. And more than that, the just will your body absorb it or use it the same way. Yeah. But yeah, for some reason with macronutrients, I don't know. I worry that there'd be more negative outcomes, but who really knows? All right, fun little global market for cultured meat report has come out from researchandmarkets.com. Has a few interesting facts that 99 companies worldwide are now developing cultured meat components, services, and end products compared to only 4 in 2016. So pretty massive growth there. 40 life science firms have formally launched products to supply competitors and things with inputs. $1 billion per year investment happening, including Cargill's, who we talked about the other day, Tyson Foods, Bill Gates, Richard Branson. China signed a $300 million deal to buy lab-grown meat produced in Israel to give to its 1.4 billion citizens. And finally, well, no, not quite finally, by 2040, a projected 60% of the meat will be crafted from cells grown within bioreactors. So they're saying cultured meat will be 60% of the meat market in 17 years. It's a long way off to make that projection. A lot of things could change between now and then, and who knows who's writing this thing. But I mean, that's at least somebody's projecting that, and that's kind of amazing to me that it is thought there's that kind of potential that soon. And finally, recent surveys indicate that nearly 50% of consumers do not have reservations about consuming cultured meat, which is less reservations than I thought they would be. Because to me, it seems like vegans and non-vegans alike have reservations about eating cultured meat.
But I think that people just assume that their meat is already cultured. I mean, not really, but like what are you really eating? What in any of this stuff? It's all just kind of fake anyway. Everything's fake.
You mean like just with animal agriculture?
Dude,
you're right. We all could be a dog stream. This whole world, we could all just wake up one day from our dog nap.
Yeah, from our coffee nap. It's all we're just all living one giant coffee nap.
Yep. All right. Well, speaking of fake things and especially fake food, eat this not that, eat this not that, eatthis.com, one of my new favorite article sites. They have a headline that says Kraft Heinz is the world's worst food company, says new survey. And this comes only a couple weeks after Veg News ran What's Vegan at Kraft Heinz, from beans to vegan mayo, the complete guide. So kind of a pro Kraft Heinz thing. But if you go through Kraft Heinz's brand, it's a massive food brand. They've got Oscar Mayer, Philadelphia, both of whom we've talked about recently. Those sub brands, I guess. And then of their vegan products, they've got this Notco partnership they're doing where they're making not cheese, which is the most ironic thing possible, because the Kraft singles, those things, the cheese food, right? Like back in the 1920s, I think they had the law said they had to they couldn't call themselves cheese anymore because it was so far from cheese. And that was like a win for food people, that like, hey, you have to name stuff the real name of it. So now, now we've got this vegan stuff where vegan products are in the news all the time about labeling and should you be able to call something milk when it isn't cow's milk or animal milk. But this cheese one is great. I mean, they're now calling it not cheese, and they're just embracing it. It's full circle now, right? They're happy to call this not cheese, even though their original thing isn't really even called cheese.
Right. So, they've never made none of it's cheese.
Yeah, and maybe at some point they made it, but then once the Industrial Revolution, I guess, or something, then they started just making cheese food. So they got some more stuff. They have Boca Burger. That's their brand. They also have Meatless Burgers, which is another brand like that. Vegan condiments. A lot of Notco stuff. Meat-free nuggets. So anyway, a lot of stuff from them. But they did surveys and things and looked at 2,346 products from this company, and also from the other big ones: Danone, Kellogg's, Nestle, and Unilever. These are all these big food conglomerate things. And they looked in 3 of their biggest markets: Australia, France, Mexico, so not the United States. And they found 82% of Kraft Heinz products across all 3 markets would be classified as unhealthy under those government-endorsed standards. And in Mexico and France in particular, in Mexico, 100% were deemed unhealthy. Not one healthy food. Or maybe there's a rounding error in here, and they've got a couple. But essentially 0 healthy foods in their stable, and 93% in France were deemed unhealthy. In Australia, only 61% were considered unhealthy. So, I mean, yeah, just making terrible foods for people. I mean, it shouldn't be illegal, but I mean, they're just causing people to be sick.
That's right.
I don't know. They did say that the other ones weren't that much better. Only Danone saw a minority of its products, 35%, classified as unhealthy across all the markets. So I guess that means that all the other big brands had more than half of their products classified as unhealthy.
What's Danone?
I only know them from I think the Dannon yogurt. I could be wrong. I think that is a Danone product, because I remember in Spain in high school when I was there, they called it Danone, and it was spelled like Danone. So I assume it's the same company. I think Danone is the company that acquired Vega at one point. I don't think they still have them. Vega, the Brendan Brazier's vegan supplement company. They acquired them, so we've had little conversations about them here and there.
Silk. They own Silk, it looks like.
Okay. I'm
Lots of kind of cheeses, Delight Coffee, bunch of water brands.
And what percentage of the food in the stores, I wonder, is from these 5 companies? Like if you cut out, I mean, I'm sure some of the produce counts too, right? Like Dole bananas, right? They're probably owned by somebody else. But I have a feeling it's in typical grocery stores, probably 95% of the products are from these big companies, and almost all of them are unhealthy. So it's, you read this stuff, it's like, it just seems like big tobacco almost. Like it's just these big companies that they responded, of course, Kraft Heinz, and said they're committed to their customers or consumers' well-being, and they're already making strides with their health and nutrition in mind. And I mean, we've seen that a little bit. We've reported on those stories where they're reducing the sugar content in some of these things, and or the government also is assisting in that by providing incentives to, like, you can't label things certain ways, updating their rules basically for what it counts as, I forget, healthy food or whatever whatever they're putting on the label. And so anyway, they say they're reducing sugar. They say salt reduction as well, and reducing sugar in our products by more than 60 million pounds globally by 2025, which is like a meaningless number. I mean, it's just how much input of sugar they're not going to use. I don't know. It just seems like they're the enemy, and like they're just like, I mean, they're getting rich, not getting rich. They're all making their livings from this, and it's just horrible. I mean, it's just like if it didn't exist, all this junk food, people wouldn't really be so unhealthy at all. Like you couldn't get that unhealthy.
I'm about to throw up an image here on the. See if I can on YouTube. This is so depressing. Let me see if I can get it to just show the image.
So these, by the way, are the companies we were talking about yesterday about, or maybe 2 days ago, that some of these large, agriculture businesses and things that they were getting into the cultivated meat or the plant-based meat business. And we were saying, like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And we mentioned Miyoko's as kind of this good example of a company that, at least up until now, has been committed to these smaller ideals, not letting that kind of, I guess, capitalistic, stuff creep in. And whether it's good or bad. So obviously, I mean, not obviously, I was in favor. I said, this is good. Mainstream, let these big companies get involved in plant-based. It's a great thing. And I still kind of think it is, but this is such a, I don't know. You read this and it's like, I don't like them anymore. I don't like Kraft Heinz. I'm out.
Yeah. I mean, so can you see the graphic that I've got going right now?
Oh yeah, I do. It's very small, but I mean,
yeah,
that's only on my screen though. I'm
trying
sure
to blow it up a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I just Googled company or food company ownership chart.
Okay. Yep.
And I mean, it is like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 companies that own pretty much every single brand you associate with food.
Right. And all these vegan brands that you and I talk about all the time, like when we talk about Impossible, Beyond, I mean, those are still independent companies, right? And so I'm wondering now, for now. But I'm just thinking, like, when we go to the grocery store and we buy foods, I guess most of it's coming from we buy a lot of produce, we buy a lot of beans and grains and things, and I'm sure those are outside of this.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not entirely. I mean, but still, at least you can feel better about those. But yeah, I mean, you would think a lot of the frozen foods, if you go buy pasta or tomato sauce or whatever like that's, or tomatoes, like I think it's probably all coming through here.
Yeah, and probably even if you bought like store-bought or store brand frozen peas or whatever, I bet that is somehow connected here into this web.
Yeah. And I'm, as long as you're buying whole foods from these places for the most part, like I think you can probably bet they're pretty safe. Safe's the wrong word, but pretty pure. But who really knows? I don't know. Like if you buy a bag of frozen peas and it comes through this, chain, it's like it's hard to believe it's just peas in there. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. It's just just kind of depressing to think about, like how hard it must be for a Miyoko's or one of these brands to really make a dent in the market when these 10 companies control your grocery store.
Yep, that is true. We need a revolution.
Aisha asked if we should just stop eating. Maybe.
I mean, it is not that unreasonable that we could stop eating packaged food, right? I mean, like there's really not that much you have to buy. Like I just said, beans, grains, nuts, seeds, produce, like, and that's how we probably 80-90% of our food is that, but still we're relying on packaged, whatever. Like I said, all the canned goods, pastas, things like that. But I think you can avoid this, a lot of it, but most people can't. I mean, they're just not in a place to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a definitive fact, like it's fact that Heinz ketchup is the best ketchup. So, I mean, you can buy a small brand ketchup or make your own maybe, but it's just not going to be as good as Heinz.
Is that right? Homemade ketchup won't be as good as Heinz? I'm not a big ketchup guy.
I mean,
it just seems like, isn't it like watery and fake
Not if you
tasting?
shake it up, right? I mean,
No?
it's just that's fact.
Okay. You say so. All right. Um, so that's that. And then the other thing we've got today is a happiness article or a money article, depending on how you spin it. But happiness falls under our umbrella of things we're allowed to talk about on the show, I think. And
Mhm.
this one caught my eye. It's from Washington Post. I found it in Morning Brew, but then they linked to a Washington Post article. The
Look at you, 2
headline.
Morning Brew articles in one day.
I know. Yeah, I forget about that source. I go through a few weeks where I don't really go on my email very much, and then I forget that exists. But trying to really dial in the preparation process for this show so that I can streamline it and still not miss any of the good sources.
Mhm.
Because it has changed a lot, by the way. Like in the early, I don't know, 3 months into the show, I was doing always all these like food industry, like high tech food websites and finding all that stuff all the time. I like better where we are now with the Best Life Onlines and the Eat This and all that stuff. But anyway, I'm sure it'll keep evolving. But says, can money buy happiness? Scientists say it can. And that, I don't know if other people are familiar with stuff. For some reason, like I sort of assumed it was common knowledge, maybe because I've read several happiness books, including Blue Zones of Happiness, which is a good one. That money improves people's well-being or sense of well-being, happiness, up until a certain point, and that point's pretty low. It's been $75,000 has been the cited number, and that was from a 2010 study by Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Prize-winning economist and psychologist. He's got some books recently. But they said up to 75,000, like, sure, you're starting to check boxes and fulfill basic needs and beyond basic needs, like, getting a level of comfort that you don't get on an income half that size. But then beyond that, they were saying, really almost no improvement to happiness as you go higher. And I did wonder, I couldn't find the answer even in this newer research, which I'll get to in a second. When they are looking at happiness, are they controlling for like additional other factors? Like let's say you wanted to earn $1 million instead of 75,000. Your values and your family time and your life is going to be organized differently than the person who's just happy with their 75,000 and then trying to sort of get the most out of their life, not involving any more money. You're going to be a workaholic, not necessarily, but in general, I would think you're going to be a workaholic, not value family time that much, maybe not take care of yourself so well. And like, is that the reason that the happiness stops because the trade-offs are required to get it? Or is it just that additional money just really doesn't add any happiness? You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
Like if you took the happy guy who's just out, tubing with his family on weekends, hiking, he's just doing that, happy with his 75,000, and then you just started giving him another $900,000 every year, just free money. Would that not increase his happiness any or her happiness any? Because there's really not much happiness to be had above that. Or is it that the trade-offs that are typically required to get that money, is that why the happiness doesn't go up? Because you've got to make these trade-offs.
Right. Just additional stresses and work obligations. And so, I mean, I just like, honestly, I mean, obviously to a point there is a point where there's just too much money. But if someone just added $100,000 a year to my life, with no additional strings attached to it, for the next 5 years, I don't know how that could not make me happier, right? Like the amount of like stress and then, you could buy things that make you more comfortable and you could buy all this time because you're not cleaning the house and mowing the lawn and all that stuff and going on cool adventures and like, I don't know how it could not make me happier. So,
well, I think the theory, and I don't know if this came from the studies themselves or if it was just theorizing, but like, I think they were saying that like you would more or less, you'd adjust, you'd get a new baseline, a new set point.
Yeah.
And after the first few months of having these additional resources and less stress, and all, you'd sort of like say, okay, this is now what is acceptable. And now your happiness level sort of resets that like, that's just what it is. So you just get used to it essentially.
Which I understand. I get that.
Yeah. So that was the thing. But this new research now has turned that on its head. In 2021, this guy named Killingsworth, happiness researcher, senior fellow at University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School, found that happiness did not plateau after 75,000, and experienced well-being can continue to rise with income well beyond 200,000. And by the way, they are adjusting for inflation and all this stuff when they do these, so you can't compare $2010 to this and say, well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
But anyway, now the two have collaborated. They said it was an adversarial collaboration where they pitted their theories against each other. And then I guess they did this thing where they pinged via smartphone at random intervals people asking for their happiness. With an app called Track Your Happiness that Killingsworth developed. So they did that. I guess then they also knew about incomes, and basically they've now decided that like up to about $500,000, happiness keeps increasing with wealth, and even beyond that, they just don't have enough data, reliable data, to do it because there aren't that many individuals who are earning that much, much less those who are willing to take part in this kind of survey. So
their assistants have to do it for them, and they're like, "No, that person is not happy."
Right. So there was some nuance here. They said there was an unhappy minority, about 20% of people whose unhappiness diminishes with rising income up to a threshold, then shows no further progress. So I was thinking about this as you were talking, Doug. You said like your stress would go away, and it's hard to imagine that like eliminating stresses, some small stresses are probably good things for us, but eliminating major worries and things like that, like it's hard to imagine that wouldn't increase happiness. And what they're saying here is like happiness? that wouldn't increase it if you could remove stresses from your life. And so they're saying that I guess this unhappy minority are people. That group, like it does eventually shut off. Like once you get rid of the stresses, the unhappiness diminishes, and then there's no further progress after that. And then I don't know. No, it gets into more detail. And honestly, I didn't read it that closely to understand all the nuance. But yeah, I mean, kind of like you said, this doesn't seem that surprising, right? It seems like, of course, like the returns of each additional dollar is lower than the one before it.
Right.
That makes sense. But like, unless you're talking about mega wealth, when your whole life is now changed because everyone is trying to come get your money in some way, and you can't know who your friends are, and all and now you've got to be so careful to protect your wealth. I mean, I could see that becoming a bad thing.
Right.
But like,
as Drew Designs points out, more money, more problems.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think, I mean, like, there's certain stressors, certain challenges that someone with a lot of money has that a poor person or someone without a lot of money doesn't have. But it's the other way around too. I mean, it's
yeah, right. So I don't know. I think this makes sense. I'd say over about $1 million a year. It's hard to imagine like that. Like I said, like you just get used to the new number. The toys you get, the adventures you get, like they're not that different. I don't think once you get to 10 million versus 1 million a year, it's just still just play money. So I could see it leveling off at that point, but not really that surprised here that it does go more than was commonly thought, which used to be 75,000.
Yeah. Mr. Jeffrey makes point on YouTube. I feel like the amount of money needed to exist freely I just pinned it. Now I can't read it. Exist freely in the world is increasing faster than inflation, and wages are increasing slower. I definitely agree with that. I think that
because costs are going up.
Costs are going up, and expectations are going up, and I just think everything is more expensive, and taxes are higher, and I mean everything's just, money is harder and harder to keep, I feel like. And then on Instagram, let's see, Muskakanitz.
Who knows?
Sure, I'm messing that up. It is disagreeing, saying that rich people have problems.
Yeah, sure. But those problems are, I think, a little higher quality to me than people who aren't as rich.
Right. I mean, if you don't have to worry about the food on your table or the shelter, or I mean, and even beyond that, just like camps for your kids, or like can we afford the daycare for my kid when they're out of school on Friday because the school closes down? Like, how is that going to impact our life and the stressor that comes from that?
Right. And I mean, like, what are you disagreeing with? Like, maybe we made one point that you disagree with, because like I guess to me, like, this is science, right? They did these studies. Like, you disagree that you think the study wasn't valid? Or what? I mean, I don't know. I guess it's possible that you
And
could
maybe
say,
disagreeing with the point you were making. I don't know.
yeah, right.
Mhm.
Don't know. Okay. And Drew Design says there's a documentary, "Seen the Lottery Ruin My Life." I don't know if that's a typo or something, but I have heard about this thing, and that to me is different, right? Someone just suddenly wins the lottery, where they didn't have to change, they didn't have to become the type of person who earns a whole lot more money. They just got it. That money disappears very, very quickly for most lottery winners, and also, you know, like, I mean, same as like if you just jump into a vegan diet, it's suddenly like a whole new world and it's hard to navigate. I think when you suddenly have, $30 million, you don't know what to do. And I think you're doomed in a lot of cases.
If you won the Make Billions, would you get it all at once, like, or do the drip
I
out
don't
over
know.
time?
I probably would. No, I have no idea. I'd probably get it all at once and then like hopefully find someone to manage it and like set up systems that sort of don't allow me to get at it all the time or all I want.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow earns, then I can be earning money with that money rather than relying on the, state's
Yeah.
interest rate or whatever. Wow. What would you do?
I think I would probably do the same thing.
I just wouldn't trust
Yeah.
that I'd get it. That's my problem. I'm not going to trust. Like I said, we know the world's a house of cards, right? It just changes every month.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd have
Right.
serious doubts about ever getting that money, which is why I'd want to get it first and then have it in my own custody and then figure
Well,
out.
and if it's managed well, you could probably make more money off of it than
Definitely.
whatever you're saving in taxes to drip
Right.
it out.
Yep.
Are
you ever a lottery player, Doug?
Yeah.
We both are you?
Sometimes when it gets big, I just join in on the fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to do it more in college. I used to do it like, I don't know, once a week probably when I was at the gas station or whatever, buy a ticket.
I get no thrill from the lottery. I don't know why. Like it's not like I'm like too smart for it and I realize it's a bad bet because I make all kinds of bad bets. I go to the casino and I love that.
Yeah.
It's fun to make that bet. The lottery is like just feels like you're not going to win. So like why it's just not even thrilling.
I mean, you're not going to win. I mean, the lottery is a terrible bet. I do not want to at all encourage anyone to use the lottery or play the lottery because it's, you're not going to win. But I don't know. I just get a thrill. I get a thrill from it.
Mhm.
The possibilities. I love the like mind game of, oh man, if I won this $1.5 billion, what would be the first thing I do? I love that kind of game.
But then you don't win. You got to go back to your old regular life instead of the fantasy world.
Yeah. Well, that's my life, man. Just never winning. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I feel like I'm a little on the I'm not as a happy Doug as I usually am.
No, you're not. You gotta get that fitness in, I guess, before the show.
I gotta get those endorphins, I guess.
Yeah. All right, good. Well, that's it. Not a whole lot of. Well, we had some food topics earlier before that. Feels like a strange show though, just weird topics today, but that's okay. We're going with the flow, and hopefully we'll have more stuff. I know I've talked badly about The Beat before, saying their content wasn't good. They haven't put up new content from what I can tell since like mid-January.
Really?
So I don't know if it's public that something's going on over there, or that they're done, or what. Now, Nomi Daffy doesn't put up much content either since January, so I'm not throwing stones here. But I've realized like I've stopped checking it because it just never changes. So I don't know.
That's too bad.
It is. I hate to see one of these not make it.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Might happen. Yeah.
So anyway, if anybody has an inside scoop, how we can support The Beat.
Yeah, really.
Let us know. Yeah, I'm seeing early January. Too bad.
Yep. Anyway. Yeah, that's it. I have nothing else. I feel like we need like one more banger, like to end this show with something funny or something good, but I don't think we have it. I think that's it.
I think I guess so.
All right. Well, tomorrow's Friday.
What are you having for dinner tonight?
I've not planned that yet. Last night we had pesto pasta, sort of one of those emergency meals. Pulled out Gotham Greens pesto from the freezer, and you know what I did? You know what? Okay, this is a good tip, good place to end. I always recommend the Parmesan sprinkle sort of thing that we make, which is
Oh yeah.
Here's the recipe really quickly. 3/4 cup cashews, like raw cashews, not soaked or anything, just raw cashews. 1/4 cup nutritional yeast, and then about 3/4 teaspoon each of garlic powder and salt. And then you just throw that in a blender thing, food processor. You get a nice little sprinkle. Works very nicely, and it's very healthy. What I do sometimes when I make pesto, or in this case, reheat frozen pesto, if I have bread, I make breadcrumbs. You just grind the breadcrumbs up, grind the stale bread up, and then put some oil in a pan, heat those breadcrumbs, a little salt and pepper, and that becomes like the cheaper substitute. We're not doing it because it's cheaper, but the substitute that people used to use for cheese, maybe some still do, when they couldn't afford the cheese, they make breadcrumbs and stretch their bread a little bit more, and they're just so delicious. It makes a very special treat out of any pasta meal when you use sauteed breadcrumbs.
Interesting. That is a good tip.
Yeah.
When you say grind them up, what do you mean? Like,
just like the bread's pretty hard, and if it's not hard, you could toast it or something first, and then put it into a food processor, like a mini processor thing like we have, and they just crumble.
Huh. That's a great tip.
Yeah, it is. So that's what I had. What'd you have
last night?
Yeah.
We had lentilroni.
Oh,
good old one of our staples. Issa does it lentilroni.
Yeah, you've mentioned that one recently a couple times, and it has reminded me that it exists. I have not made that in such a long time, but we should, because it's a good recipe.
It's a great recipe, really and it's lentils.
Yeah, right. Can't get enough lentils.
No, yeah, we had lentilroni, and then tonight is Thirsty Thursday, so I'll be going out.
Good.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, good. Sounds good. Well, tomorrow's Friday, so I hope everyone else enjoys their Thirsty Thursday, as Doug likes to call it. and then we'll see you tomorrow, Friday, for the real weekend.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Okay.
See you on the
Bye.
Discord.